My name is Melissa Terras. I am the director of UCL Centre for Digital Humanities, and I've been involved with Transcribe Bentham right from the start as one of the project team. Bentham's a really important figure in not just English and UK history, but in world history. He's a jurist and a philosopher, but he was also a social reformer. He was really influential in Anglo-American law and also in setting up the legal system in Australia. And he was immensely important both to society but to my institution that I'm at just now, and that's important for Transcribe Bentham. So he's one of the most famous people at the very early days of University College London. As a result, when he passed away, we got his folios, all the manuscripts that he'd written there in special collections. So we have 60,000 of those in special collections. We had a 1-year funding from the AHRC to try and build a crowdsourcing platform. It was one of the first crowdsourcing projects in culture and heritage, our first major one. And we only had a year to build a platform, launch it, and then test it and report back. So we had to work fast. So what we built it on was MediaWiki. There were two major benefits. One, it's really very stable. So since we built extra plugins for MediaWiki, it's the same as Wikipedia works on, we have these plugins built in on top, but it's a really very stable thing. So we haven't actually done much development works on it since. And the second thing is that users know their way around Wikipedia, so they didn't have to learn how to navigate. They're kind of used to how it's laid out, so that was useful for us too. When we launched this, what I thought was going to happen is that we would get 10,000 people and they would all do an hour's work and they would all transcribe these things, and we would have cumulatively, we would get the documents transcribed. But it turns out that that's rubbish. It turns out that what you're really looking for is 25 people that become obsessed and become obsessive. They want to come back and they want to work on this project. That means they get faster at doing the project, they get better at reading the handwriting, they know the way around the system. It's quicker for us to modulate what they do, and it becomes a relationship then with 25 or 30 core users who are working on one common goal, and they're all pitching in. So now we have an average of 133 manuscripts a week coming through and getting signed off. To put that into context, if we had the person who sits behind the scenes moderating all this, he's got a PhD in Bentham studies and history, and if he was transcribing the documents himself, he might be able to do 10 a week. So, but he can moderate 100 odd a week. So we're now speeded it up to a factor of 10 of how fast we can get the manuscripts through. But that is because we have these core transcribers who have taught themselves Bentham's handwriting, taught themselves TEI compliant XML, taught themselves how to use our system, and have a relationship with the moderator via the system into checking their work, and it works together very nicely. We're part of a wider project as well called Transcriptorium, and that's trying to train computers into reading handwriting. What we didn't realise when we started up with Transcribe Bentham is that if you have, now we have 15 million words of Bentham's handwriting. So we have the images and we have the text, and we know they'll be double checked and triple checked. We know exactly what they say. So that becomes then a core training thing to train computers how to read handwriting. So we're now at the stage, as part of Transcriptorium, we're there about to launch Transcribers. It's a platform for helping people in computers to read handwriting. We're getting about 90% accuracy with Bentham's handwriting. If we didn't have any clue when we started this that we were going to end up with handwriting recognition technology. But actually, there's quite a lot of stuff now that we could be doing for Bentham studies. We've got 15 million words of Bentham's writing, and that is going up by 3,000 or 4,000 words a week, right? So the longer we leave it, the bigger the corpus. But at some point, we need to be analysing that, for we have got some stuff going in the background just now about what can we say about Bentham from that? What has that changed for us now that we've got this? So I think thinking about what really is the point. Transcribing should be a means to something else. Finding aids can be enough to help people find stuff, but in my heart of hearts with Digital Humanities is we want to be doing more than that. We don't want to just be creating an index. We want to be then taking that data and doing something more. So what, if you get this stuff transcribed, what can you do with it that you couldn't do before? And I see that as the missing question in a lot of these transcription projects.